the save and Arsenal strike.
Match aller à Londres et malgré une bonne entame des Gunners, Paris pour la dans ce rebond, premier but dans la saison en Ligue.
On May 30th, Arsenal will walk onto the pitch at the Puskas Arena in Budapest, their first Champions League final in 20 years. And waiting for them? PSG, the defending champions, a side that swatted them out of this competition last season without needing to get out of second gear. The media will call it a revenge mission. The reality? It's a group of lads relying on one trick to try and steal the biggest prize in club football. Because while PSG call on genuine world-class match winners, Arsenal have become Champions League finalists by weaponizing the most boring anti-football cheat code the game has seen in years. It's not a midfield masterclass. It's not a Saka solo goal. It's not Ødegaard unlocking a low block. It's the set piece, a glorified rugby line out dressed up as a tactical revolution. Today, we're ripping apart the machine that has bored the Premier League to tears all season, how Nicolas Jover built this monstrosity, and why it just might allow Arteta's side to shithouse their way to a first European Cup. Welcome to a full breakdown of the most tedious weapon in world football. Let's set the stage. Arsenal's history in this competition is basically a documentary on failure. Their only final appearance was in 2006, a 2-1 defeat to Barcelona where they took the lead, got a man sent off, and spent 70 minutes camped in their own box before fate inevitably mugged them off. After that, they became famous for something even more embarrassing: 7 consecutive round of 16 exits. 7 times they got to the knockout stages, and 7 times they bottled it. It was less a curse and more a deeply embedded loser mentality. Under Arteta, they've had one decent run before their current one, getting knocked out at the semi-final stage last season by the very same PSG side. That loss should have been a lesson in the gap between having a process and having actual elite pedigree. In the semi-final this year against Atletico Madrid, Bukayo Saka bundled in a scruffy, deflected strike at the Emirates to send them through 2-1 on aggregate. The commentary called it destiny. Everyone else called it typical jammy Arsenal riding their luck. And now, the rematch. PSG versus Arteta's history-chasing side. But anyone with eyes knows the real story. The only reason this Arsenal side are anywhere near a Champions League final is a bald Frenchman stood on the touchline who has turned them into the most expensive Stoke City tribute act in history. His name is Nicolas Jover. Before he slithered into North London in 2021, Arsenal were statistically one of the worst teams in the Premier League from set pieces. In the 2020-21 season, they scored 6 set-piece goals all year. 6. They were about as threatening from a corner as a toddler with a beach ball. Corners were just a chance for the opposition to reset their shape and have a laugh. But Jover arrived with a CV forged in the shadows of rivals. He'd previously been under Pep Guardiola at Manchester City between 2019 and 2021, tasked with fixing a leaky defensive record from dead balls. Fair play, he tightened them up. But his real legacy is what he's done at Arsenal. He didn't just improve their set pieces, he made them the entire identity of the football club. Arteta, who knew him from City, brought him in, and Edu paid him a fortune to turn Sunday League shithousery into a Champions League tactic. Less than 3 years later, the transformation was complete. Arsenal went from being a banter club at corners to a side that actively celebrates winning a corner like it's a penalty. The Emirates crowd now roars for a corner flag decision more than they do for an open play attack. That tells you everything. To understand how Arsenal might burgle this final, you have to appreciate the numbers behind this tragic revolution. Because this isn't beautiful football. This is systemic, weaponized percentage play dressed up as genius. Here's the transformation in hard numbers. In the 3 seasons before Jover arrived, Arsenal averaged about 1 goal from every 32 corners. bog-standard league average around 3%. Since he joined, they've averaged 1 goal from every 16.4 corners, a 6% conversion rate. They've literally doubled their efficiency by turning games into set-piece simulators. But that's just the baseline. The 2025-26 campaign took things to a deeply unserious level. Arsenal scored a record-breaking 17 goals from corner kicks this Premier League season, breaking a record that had stood since the very first Premier League campaign of 1992-93. More than City, more than Liverpool, more than any team in over 30 years. And before you call that dominance, ask yourself this: what does it say about your football when 17 of your goals come from a dead ball where half your team isn't even trying to play football? Just block the keeper and fall over. Opponents know it's coming. They can't stop it. Not because it's magic, but because the laws of the game simply weren't written to deal with teams so committed to the dark arts that corners look like a scene from a wrestling pay-per-view. Neville on Sky Sports once called Jover a little nuisance, but admitted he's damn good. More like a menace who's dragged the game back to the 1980s. The secret to the sorcery isn't tactical innovation. It's a 5-man overload that amounts to legalized obstruction. At the start of the 2025-26 preseason, in a friendly against Villarreal, Jover unveiled his latest eyesore, a brand new corner setup that had journalists pretending to be fascinated while secretly weeping for the sport. By the time the league season started, every set-piece coach in the country was being asked to copy a routine that essentially looks like a pub team all piling into the box at once and hoping for the best. Here's how the 5-man overload sham works. When the corner is about to be taken, 5 Arsenal players just stand on the edge of the penalty area. Not inside, not making clever runs, just lurking like blokes waiting for the bus. Meanwhile, 4 more are already in the box, causing a nuisance near the goalkeeper. Pulling shirts, blocking sightlines, doing anything but actually competing for the ball. Then Declan Rice or Saka lifts his arm, and those 5 edge players charge into the box simultaneously. They don't run to specific zones. They don't execute precise movements. They just flood the area like a wave of bodies, creating chaos, blocking defenders, and turning the 6-yard box into a mosh pit. Arsenal's designated blockers then target the goalkeeper while the rest of the herd aim for the far post where the mayhem is thickest. It's not football, it's a scrum. Defenders have to make split-second decisions: who to mark, who to leave, whether to stay zonal or man mark. And that moment of hesitation is exactly what Jover wants, because that's when Gabriel and his mates can bundle the ball over the line with any part of their anatomy. Combine those whipped-in swingers with the sudden stampede from the edge of the box, and you've got a recipe that looks less like elite sport and more like the ball bouncing off some poor sod's shoulder and trickling in. It's numbers over talent, sheer weight of chaos over quality. But wait, there's a twist in this tragic narrative. For most of the season, Arsenal cleverly established a reputation for just lumping the ball into the mixer. Through 33 league matches, they attempted a grand total of 6 short corners. 6. They wanted everyone to think they were a one-trick pony. And then, against Newcastle, Jover decided to be a genius. In a single match, they tried 3 short corners. By the second one, the Newcastle defense was frozen, terrified of the incoming stampede. On the third, they worked it short, drew the defense out, and Ebereki Eze thumped a shot from outside the box into the top corner. Cue the wankfest from commentators about tactical variation. That Eze strike was Arsenal's 17th corner goal of the season. It sealed the record. And it forced every future opponent to waste even more hours of training trying to figure out Jover's little puzzle box. This dual threat is what makes Jover's system so insufferable to watch. Teams that overcommit to defending the hoof into the box leave space on the edge. If Arsenal smell weakness, they'll happily take the short option and have a pop. Against PSG, what will Luis Enrique's side prepare for? Waste high balls into a rabble of bodies? A cheeky short corner into a pot shot? The fact that Arsenal can do both doesn't make them tactically brilliant. It makes them the kid who spams the same broken move on FIFA and then celebrates when it glitches through the goalkeeper. Of course, a set-piece scheme is only as good as the donkeys executing it. Arsenal's main corner takers are Declan Rice from the left, bending in swingers with his right foot, and Saka from the right, curling in swingers with his left. About 81% of their deliveries are in swingers, statistically more dangerous because they bend away from the keeper and towards the pack, turning every delivery into a game of pinball rather than a contest of aerial ability. But here's where the nonsense truly multiplies. Arsenal almost never rely on one player to finish. In 2025-26, Gabriel Magalhaes has 4 set-piece goals, but 11 of his teammates have also scored from dead balls. 11 different scorers. You can't just stick a man marker on one threat, because the real danger comes from the rotating obstruction. Typically, Arsenal cluster a group near the far post. As the ball comes in, the first man makes a decoy run, often with the sole purpose of crashing into the keeper. The second and third men run across the 6-yard box as moving blockers. By the time the ball arrives, someone is either unmarked or it's pinballed off 3 shins and over the line. This is why Arsenal's corner goals are almost never clean headers. They're knockdowns, flick-ons, goalmouth scrambles, own goals, deflections off arses. EA Sports FC 26 has recognized this dark art trend, introducing gameplay that now has defenders actually trying to hold their positions, while the attacking team tries every glitch in the book. Finally, a video game that replicates what Arsenal do every single weekend. So the question is, can PSG stop this circus? They might already have sussed it. In European competition this season, PSG used a counter strategy that basically treats Arsenal corners with the contempt they deserve. Instead of packing all 11 men into the box to suffocate, they left 3 attackers high up the pitch, players like Dembele hovering on halfway. Why? Because if PSG win the first ball, they have an immediate 3 versus 2 breakaway. It's a high-risk gamble, but it essentially calls Arsenal's bluff. If you want to send your entire bank of wardrobes forward, fine. We'll break on you and put the tie to bed within 10 seconds. If Arsenal score anyway, PSG are chasing the game against a team that is actually pretty stingy defensively. But it might be the only way to embarrass Arsenal into pulling numbers back. Will Luis Enrique trust that approach in a Champions League final? Or will he do what every other manager does? Overload the box and hope his defenders don't get bullied. The dilemma is stark. Drop too deep and you invite wave after wave of disgusting set-piece pressure. Pressure high and Arsenal might just bypass you with a quick short corner and create yet another ugly overload. Either way, the fact we're treating this like a legitimate tactical conundrum rather than a footballing war crime tells you everything about what Jover has done to the game. This is the true genius of Jover's system. It allows Arsenal to dictate terms from a dead ball without ever having to play actual football. Whether they resort to the physical scrap or the technical punch, they have a path to a jammy goal. It's anti-football perfection. Saturday, May 30th, Puskas Arena, 60,000 fans. Arsenal against PSG for the biggest prize in European football. The attacking talent on both sides is world-class, but in a final that could easily be decided by one horribly officiated corner decision, Arsenal carry a weapon that PSG just might not be able to defuse. A set-piece system that is statistically the most predictable shithouse tactic the modern era has ever seen. For the first time in 2 decades, this tie isn't about sublime football. It's about a team trying to win Europe's biggest prize by turning it into a 1990s Wimbledon tribute act. 20 years of failure. 20 years of being the nearly men. And now, Mikel Arteta's Arsenal have a tool that might just allow them to hoover up the trophy without a single moment of flowing football. If this final is settled by a corner kick in the 89th minute, don't you dare look away. You might just witness the death of the beautiful game, as Arsenal shithouse their way into history, and Nicolas Jover becomes the first set-piece coach to get a statue outside a stadium built on a foundation of blocked goalkeepers and rugby tackles. Thanks for watching. I hope this breakdown made you appreciate just how nakedly these lot rely on the dark arts. If you want a part 2 on how PSG can dismantle this by actually playing football and leaving 3 men high, smash the like button, and I'll break down proper attacking play that doesn't need a whistle and a corner flag to function. Until next time, enjoy the football. And remember, the next time you see Arsenal win a corner and their fans start celebrating like they've scored, don't even think about getting up for a snack. You'll miss a Gabriel header off his own shoulder and the inevitable VAR check for 12 separate shirt pulls.